In this video, we're going to build the swivel piece for the camera. Alright, so we've started creating the bracket, and it makes the camera swivel in the Z direction. Okay, but now we need the camera to swivel in the Y direction. So as the drone is moving, we're creating all of these different parts. Now, we're not planning on animating this, but we do want to create the product as it would be seen. So let's go ahead and go to our creation panel, go to cylinder, and I'm going to go to my front view, and I'm going to create the cylinder right about here just to get started. And let's give it some height there. And you'll notice that I added a cap segment to this, and it created these segments here. The reason that I do this sometimes is because I get tired of actually optimizing this and adding those cross sections. And so instead, what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and add a cap segment and then right click and convert it over to editable poly. And then I'll just go to edge mode and I'll select this edge or this loop right here. And then I'm going to select this loop and this one. So select all of those. And then I'm going to deselect these. And so then what it will allow me to do is go ahead and hit Control Backspace. Let's not forget this loop on the back. So if I hit Control Backspace, I'm now left with those. It might seem like that was more steps, but it's really not. It does kind of speed things up just a little bit. And every now and then, if I get the opportunity to speed up, I will go ahead and do that. So let's take all of these vertices and let's pull these into place to right here. And to me, it looks like this needs to be raised up a little bit higher. So let's go ahead and pull this up to right about there. That looks good. And then I'm going to go to polygon mode and select this one and that one. And so with this set of polygons selected, let's extrude it. And I'm going to extrude it at 10 for now and just hit OK. Let's go to our front view and I'm going to pull this back into position to right about here. And we're going to use make planar in the X. So let's pull this here. And what I'm doing is I'm going to start building this part right here, not including the cylinder, but this part right here. So with that set, let's go ahead and extrude it one more time. And let me pull that down to about 2 or 3. So 2.8 looks pretty good. And then let's go to the top and let's select this polygon and this one. And what we'll do, whoops, actually no, we won't do that. Let's take these two first. And looking at the left view, if I go ahead and extrude this forward like this, let me go ahead and hit OK, and then I'm just going to drag that all the way to the front right here. And so what this is doing is it's basically just blocking out these shapes. Then what I'll do is go ahead and take these two polygons, and in the left view I'm going to just extrude that up, and that looks to be about right there, so we'll go ahead and we'll hit OK on that. And then now what I can do is I can start to cut out this shape right here to get that ready. So I'm going to go to Edit and Swift Loop, and I'm just going to place it right there at the start. And then I'm going to go to Vertex Mode and just take all of these vertices and pull those back until they match that shape that's being cut out there. So there we go. And we'll pull this back just a little bit, just like that. So now what I can do is go ahead and go to Polygon Mode and select these 4 polygons. And then I can extrude that out. And let's go ahead and extrude. And that's pretty close, but I'm going to pull it back in just a little bit. So there we go. So now we have the shape for this piece here that is going to serve as that bracket that rotates along that Y direction. Now there is this little cylinder piece that kind of fits right on there, and I'm just going to make that as a separate piece. So let's create a new cylinder. I'm going to go to my left view, and I'm just going to try to create it right in here. So left click and drag that out. That looks pretty good. Normally don't get it quite that accurate to start out. And then let's do a thickness of, let's say 3 for now. And let's go to our front view and use our move tool. And let's pull that over until it touches that edge there. So it rests right on there. And then let's convert it to editable poly and go to vertex mode and select those vertices on that side and just drag out that height there. And then we have one little element on this. It looks like we have this little round inlet there. So I'm just going to hit Alt-X and go to my left view, and I'm just going to match up the size of that. I can barely see it right here, but if I go ahead and I double click on that and grab my scale tool, I'm going to scale that in. Now I know that we have that on the back side, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to clean that up and get rid of it. So double click on that, hit Control Backspace, and then double click on this edge and all 4 of these, and we're going to deselect those corners so it doesn't get rid of that, and then hit Control Backspace. Oops. I don't want to do it on the front here, so let me actually leave that alone, and let's hit Control Backspace on that. Okay, so now I can just leave these the way that they are, and I will have that in place. I could just take these and hit Control Backspace. That will work too. So now I'm ready for that detail to be in there. And if you remember, we already know how to do this. We could just double click on this loop, and then we could use chamfer and use a small amount on that. And let me go just a little bit smaller. I don't want to do real deep on that, so let's do like 0.1. Hit OK, and then go to polygon mode, select that polygon, hold shift, and then extrude it in a negative direction. And let's do negative point. Let's do 0.1 just to start out. Let's do 0.2. So negative 0.2. Hit OK. There we go. So now we have that little detail in there. So now that we've built that piece out, we are now ready to go ahead and start working on the piece that actually attaches to the camera. And we could actually do this really fast, and I think I will. Let's go ahead and grab our Move tool, and I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to drag this over just to duplicate that. And we'll keep that as a copy and then hit OK. Now, we did have that detail that we worked in there before, and we could leave it there or we could remove it. It's totally up to you on that, but a way to get rid of it very quickly is to just double click on those edges that are there, and then just hit Control Backspace, and you've removed that detail that was unnecessary for this particular element. So now, let's go to our front view, and we're ready to go ahead and begin the process of building out the camera portion of this. And this is going to be pretty simple. We'll talk about just building out the base part of the camera, and then we will get the lens, and we'll start talking about how we can create some shapes for the lenses themselves, and then all of the interior pieces in that. So we'll get started with that next.